Hello and welcome to this video. Is that the appropriate intro? I don't know how to start these things. This is a different kind of video I'm going to make slightly political maybe, but not really political. It's social, I guess. Because it's not really about politics, right? It shouldn't be about left and right. Because I'm a pretty big lefty, traditionally, but a lot of, social causes get attributed to the left, which I don't agree with, and I don't really see how that they connect to the left. They're not economics, right? They're not public funding and things like that. So, so I don't really want to call it politics, but it's social stuff. And this video is about the whole metoo thing, because there was a recent flare-up of it in gaming. And, and I'm sure you've watched loads of videos about it and heard loads of opinions about it, but I thought I'd throw mine in late after the fact, because, I watched a video where people talked about it, and were kind of slippery in the way that they spoke about it, because they were saying that, people should come out and say these things, accusations of sexual assault and stuff, because it's a positive thing to clear the air, to get it out and talk about a real issue. But simultaneously they were condemning the witch hunts that happens, that people end up ruining people's lives, which for what could be and sometimes is a lie, right? The accused didn't do anything, but they are heavily affected especially because if they're people in gaming media, then their lives depend on their public image. So it's not the same as necessarily someone who's just working in, whatever, Tesco or something, right? Although people like that might get an effect too if it spreads far enough, but then they're affected by this thing in a very real way. They can lose their jobs and stuff. And so I think my simple point is this: what exactly do you hope to achieve by revealing these things on social media? What is the positivity that can come from it? Because either you're telling the truth by making an accusation, and therefore the person who you're accusing should be punished in some way. I mean, ideally not through, the lynch mob, whatever. But if you're if you're working with someone who is a sexual predator, you don't want to work with them anymore, right? Or you don't want to be friends with them anymore, or you don't want to buy products from them. You don't want to listen to them commentating anymore because you don't want to endorse that kind of activity, right? So if the accusation is made and it's true, what do you people would have to react in a way that is shutting the accused down, right? You'd want to say, I don't want you on this podcast anymore. I don't want you commentating live events anymore because I don't want to listen to this kind of person. That's a natural and correct response. That's why, we don't endorse sexual harassment in life, generally speaking, right? And we don't. Most people don't. If they see something like that, if they know something like that's happening, it grosses you out, you stop it, right? Most people do that. There are some people who don't, and they're the problems, right? And I think that's always going to be the case. As long as, this stuff doesn't happen in public generally, right? That's why it's a problem. It has to happen in places where it's hard to do something about it because it's not accepted. So simultaneously you've got this thing where people say it on social media, but they don't want a witch hunt. What response would you want then? Because the alternative is to be ignored. The alternative is to go, oh yeah, you made this accusation, very brave of you to come out and say that, but I'm going to still listen to their I'm still going to be friends with them, I'm still going to hire them, I'm still going to work with them. Then what's that's what's the point in the social media post. People wouldn't want that. They'd go, oh, well, then I'm not going to talk about it in public because there's no response. Nobody cares. And in fact, this is, what a lot of, it's traditionally women, but honestly, I'm pretty sure the statistics on assault and stuff is higher for men, but that's something that we don't talk about at all. But that's something that a lot of women would say, is that they would come forward with these things and no one would listen. No one would do anything. So you can't have it both ways. And people who try and, justify it and say you should come out in public, and they try and justify it by saying, yeah, but we're not advocating the witch hunts. It's like, well, you are, because you're doing the action that expects a response, right? You choose where to make a very serious allegation. You don't do it, or you didn't do it, these people didn't do it, at the family dinner, right? They didn't do it at the pub. They didn't do it at work. They didn't do it to their boss. They didn't say it to a doctor. They didn't say it to the police, right? They didn't just say it to a stranger on the street. Go, oh, I was, molested the other day, right? Why not? Because it has a particular effect. And you feel that that's not going to have a positive effect. I don't want to ruin the family dinner with this miserable story, right? I don't want to say it to a random person, because what do you expect to happen? What do you expect them to do? You're like imposing them with this serious thing. What are they supposed to do about it? Therefore, you don't bother them, right? And I'm not saying there that people shouldn't be able to come out and talk about it, but that I'm just pointing out that you do choose where to say these things, because it is a sensitive issue. The same attitude has to be applied to social media. The same consideration, right? What do you expect to happen when you put this story out there? If you want people to care, then they have to act, right, against the person who you're accusing. Because if they don't, then they are endorsing it. And that's just the way it is. That's just reality, right? If you tell someone, hey, your friend molested me, they can't just go, oh, I'm sorry, that's awful, tell me I feel so bad, talk to me about it, understanding, and then they go away and still be friends with that person. That would be two-faced. That wouldn't make any sense. You would expect that person to confront their friend about it, or stop being their friend, or something, because otherwise they're endorsing the action. The correct thing, I think, would be to well, I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to help you make your case and find out the truth, But that's hard for individuals to do, let alone, thousands of people collectively on social media. And so people who, come forward with this Me Too thing, they need to understand what social media is and what it's good for and what it's bad for. And it's not a platform that people have that's either been developed to support this kind of thing, or people have grown mature enough, right, to handle this kind of talk on social media. Because, it's a new thing. It's a very new thing. It's an entirely new way of communicating. It's a public square that we're all in. We're all on the same, square centimetre of space. And we're able to talk to everyone. We're in a big Twister, game of Twister in a public square. And so you've got to think, is this the appropriate place? What response do I expect to get? And is this the right place to make this accusation? There are, if this happens to someone, talk to your friends, talk to someone that means something to you, right? Talk to the police, talk to a doctor, because they are trained to handle kind of serious accusation. And you do deserve and need help with what's happened, right? To overcome that, or to learn to live with it. And also, other people, if there's someone that acts like this, a lot, right? Then you don't, other people shouldn't be affected by it negatively. If you can protect other people, just the police going round to that person and saying, we've had this accusation, you have to stay away. I mean, people used to get court orders and stuff to restrict, people coming near them. And that has more of an effect than just protecting the individual. Because you can obviously say, well, the police aren't literally there 24/7. The person can break a court order. They can, but people knowing that person has a court order, right, that makes it a public deal. That makes it, and people know it's a serious deal because the police are involved, right? So there's a whole structure surrounding it that makes it work sensibly. Rather than this social media frenzy that is the only the natural response that can come of such an accusation. But that means that we need to calm it down because we don't want, vigilantism and medieval lynching mobs, because that wasn't good. Innocent people were done wrong by that, and that's the worst possible thing that can happen. If being good isn't rewarded because you can still be, condemned anyway and have your life ruined anyway, then where's the impetus to be good, right? And the whole modern idea of saying, well, you should just want to be good anyway, that's kind of bollocks. That's not why we have legal structures. That's not why we have moral systems, because we're not just good people. If we were just good, then there wouldn't be morality at all. If people were just good, then they couldn't be bad. There isn't a choice. There isn't a morality, right? So we have a choice, and we're heavily discourage doing the wrong thing. So when people stick to that, do their best to be good people, we have to reward it and not punish it with false accusations being taken seriously. And that's why we have processes. So this is kind of my thought about metoo. This is as someone who is, grown up in a progressive time, when I was a teenager, everything felt to me like it was going in a very clear egalitarian direction. And now it's a frenzy of just madness. People have regressed on so many issues and kind of threw away the progress, and it's going to backfire, unfortunately. I think things like Me Too are going to make people switch off and turn more, traditionally conservative, Well, this is a broader discussion, I guess, but we need to become conservative about the progressive values that we have entrenched into society. Right? They are the new... It is conservative to believe in equality. Right? We need to be conservative about it and protect it from potentially regressive political kind of movements. So I don't know how often I'll make these kinds of videos. Let me know what you think. Not getting too many views on the gaming stuff anyway, and and I enjoy somewhat. I don't know. I enjoy talking about these things, but simultaneously, they kind of stress me out too. So it's not going to turn into a political channel or anything. But since this relates to gaming and stuff, I thought I'd say it. And it's a serious thing, and we should protect the innocent, whoever they may be. So thank you for listening, and leave your comments below if you have any. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, all that shiz that you're supposed to do on YouTube. And I will talk to you again in another video. See you there.